We're going to talk a little bit about your book today, which
Okay.
I'm excited to talk about. Lead Like a Woman.
All righty.
So
Nah.
now I did see that you wrote 17 books. There's a
Yeah,
lot
this
of
was my
people out
18th
there.
one.
This is the 18th. There's a lot of people that
Yeah.
can't write. They can't write one.
Well,
So,
there are secrets to writing lots.
yeah. So what's the trick? What do you, well, where do you find your inspiration to write?
Just looking around, you know how you looked around and saw people needed some rules for life?
Yeah.
I look around and I say they need rules for this. So my best-selling book, which sold 1 million copies, is called 30 Days to Taming Your Tongue. And it's a fast from negativity.
Okay.
That's what it is. So, we all have a tendency to be negative. So it's 30 different types of negativity to refrain from. Don't criticize, don't judge, don't tell half the truth, things like that.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to ask you some questions today because
Okay.
I mean, that's my job today, but I'm
Yeah.
interested in that because I hear a lot of people that say, don't do this or don't do that and don't do this and don't do that, which I appreciate. But I think where people struggle is they don't know how to stop. And is it as simple as just stopping?
You mean with respect to what? Writing or talking about? Are we talking about the tongue or the writing?
I'm going to go, I have to go back a half step because the tongue thing really,
Okay.
hit a chord with me. But how do people just stop?
Well, you do like this. Close your mouth. You always stop thinking. My old mentor used to say, stop, think, and pray. But you really think about what you're going to say and the impact it's going to have on somebody. For instance, I traditionally don't have a lot of patience with people who take a long time to understand something. And I remember saying something to somebody once, and I said, it's not brain surgery. That's demeaning. How would you like somebody to say that to you? So you think about the impact that those words would have on you. You just get on the other side of yourself and say, if those words were coming at me, how would I respond?
I like that. I like that. Just flip it.
Just flip it. Would you be critical?
Yep. It's the old put yourself in the other person's shoes.
Basic stuff, rules of life.
Rules of life. There it is. That's how we're kicking off.
Yeah.
So that's cool. I mean, listen, you sell 1 million books. That's pretty amazing. How did it feel?
Well, I've sold 2 million altogether. I just sold 1 million of that one book. But I tell you, and I'm not a marketer, so I say you got to write something that resonates with people. Find a problem that's really the masses are struggling with, and solve it. Give them practical ways to do it, and that's what I've done. And the title has to catch their eye. The title has to promise to solve a problem. That's critical.
Yeah. And for you, I love on this show, I love to talk about people's process, how they do what they do, how they got to where they got. How do you write? What's your strategy? Do you bang it all out in a week, 2 weeks, six months?
No, but I have had to write a book in 2 weeks. I did have to, during the previous crisis, the financial crisis of 2008, whenever it was, I had to write a book in 2 weeks on just how to survive, financial survival. But I tell you, the key is to just decide to write a little bit at a time, like 300 words 3 times a week.
Okay.
That'll give you almost 1,000 words a week. And you got to have at least 40,000 words for, a decent book. So look, that's a strategy. You don't have to write every day. But I tell you, Dana, what happens is most people edit while they write. You can't edit. You just got to keep dumping the thoughts on the paper. You can organize it later. So that's really key. Don't write and edit. Just write. Just dump the thoughts.
Forward movement towards just getting that message out there.
Yeah, and just keep thinking about the person you're writing to. Because I'm a bottom line person. That's why I didn't think I could ever write. I'm a CPA by training. It's like any book I write, it's going to be this little.
Yeah. And also, I mean, listen, I think it's somewhat fair to say, I don't want to box everybody in, but a lot of CPAs are not the most creative people. They're very numbers focused and data oriented. So I tip my cap to you being a creative writer because it's hard. You have to have some creativity up there.
Yeah, well, that's where my faith comes in. I just believe that when I sit down, I'm going to get inspired. And I do. Really, I get inspired. And I write about topics that I had no previous expertise in. I think I wrote about taming your child's tongue because the publisher says, write it. I don't have a child in the world.
That's okay. Though sometimes you can see it better when you're not in it. It's it's like being a consultant, you can see what the people that are there day to day can't see.
Yeah, and I'm from a big family, so
so you've seen plenty of kids and the discipline that they need.
Right. Absolutely.
So what do you see now? What's as you're looking out at the world right now, what's your view of everything?
My worldview of all the problems that are going on, and since I'm Black, I think racism is at the top of the list for me, because Let me tell you this. I am 70 years old. I was 14 when they passed the Civil Rights Act of 1964. So I've seen the whole gamut from not being able to go and order a hamburger at the front of the Dairy Queen, not sitting at the counters, to where we are now. We've made significant progress. And so what I'm seeing is people who haven't had a conversation with each other. I have lots of friends who don't look like me, as we say, don't look like me. And I find that your attitude is different when you know people. So I get to know people of a different ethnic group or whatever. And that's the key. It's going to start at an individual level. Understanding my story. I love it when people say, tell me your story, so that they don't minimize my pain. I can say, this is real. This is how it happened to me, but I'm not bitter. I let it make me better. You know, that kind of thing.
I like that. Actually, that's a good hashtag, right? Better, not bitter.
Oh yeah, that is.
All right. So listen, so for you, I have a question. What is it that you do day to day to improve the situation that's in front of you?
Well, I make a decision that no matter what's going down today, I'm not going to be a victim of anything. I'm spreading joy all the time. People ask me, why are you so happy? Well, you know, I decide to. I make a decision that no matter what happens, it's going to be a stepping stone. You know, it really is. And so a mindset helps. I get up every day thinking I'm going to add value to the world somehow. I don't care what it is, whether it's teaching people how to have a Zoom interview where you sit right in the middle of the camera, whatever, get the right background, whatever. I'm always on a mission to help people go to another level. So you see, it's not about me. It's about getting people to, you know, really invest in their own development and to learn. I'm always in a learning mode. So, I mean, I'm never bored.
Yeah. No,
Never.
That's cool. I mean, I was looking at all the things that you have going on. You got a lot going on.
I do.
Maybe that's the secret. If you're so busy doing things and adding value, you don't have much time to think about all the bad.
Yeah, you're doing things that improve others. So you see, I think when you stay others focused, doesn't mean you abandon yourself. I mean, I have lots of self-care time. When I get off of this, I'm going to go into my little home gym and work out because I didn't have a chance to this morning. But, so I just decide during the course of a day, this is what I'm going to do. You know, I'm going to do self-care. I'm going to express some care and concern, add value to somebody else. I mean, that's a great life to me.
Why do you think people have so much difficulty doing that?
Well, because they're focused on, ain't it awful? You know, look at me, look at the world. They don't like this president. They didn't like the last one.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, really just get too caught up in that stuff. I see families and friends losing friendships that have been lifelong over their political position. I'm not that political. I don't put my preferences out there. It's not, because I just think it's too divisive to do so. Yeah. So I'm a registered independent. Nobody knows where I stand on anything. And they won't know. Now, I don't know if I'm not hiding my head in the sand, but my mission is bigger than who's going to be in office for 4 years or 8 years. My life is just so much bigger than that.
Yeah, you're on a different mission. You have your own mission. You have your own mission.
Yeah. And I'm not trying to alienate anybody because, nobody's perfect. And, every candidate is going to have some flaws. And so I'm like, oh, help us, Lord.
Yeah. Well, you're focused on what you can do in the world, right? And how you can impact, influence, and lift people that are in front of you.
Yeah, and still be authentic. So it's not like I'm just trying to want people to like me and not trying to be not non-controversial. That's not the track I'm on. Because sometimes you have to put something out there. If it's wrong, it's wrong. Yeah. But it's not driven by any allegiance to a politician or anything like that.
Yeah, you're better off that way.
Yeah,
I agree with you. Keeps you more sane. Keeps you thinking right, moving in the right direction. So I was doing some reading on you, and again, you started out not at the top of much, right? You started off, in overcoming some circumstances. And I always say, some of the greatest people that I know, they grew up with very humble beginnings.
Well, and you know what? And I did start out as my first real job where I got paid was a 75-cent an hour maid. But I was so excited when I graduated to $1.25 an hour maid. I stopped working in people's houses and started to work as a motel maid. But you know what? It inspired me because there's nothing like lack to motivate you. And so I saw what could be if I could really pursue education. I knew that was critical for me. I've never bemoaned my reality of being a minority. Yes, I have had a lot of things that would have looked like they victimized me, but I just said, nope. This is working together for my good.
Yep.
Yeah, I do. I believe that. I do.
Yes. So going from, this $1.25 maid to, climbing the corporate ranks, if you will, what were some of the lessons that you learned as that $1.25 made to, that helped you as you were headed towards the top, of the business world?
Always do the job well. That's why I wrote that book, Lead Like a Woman, because first thing you got to be is proficient at your work. Whatever that means, do your work really well. Don't allow anything that happened to you, like discrimination or disappointment, to get you into a mode where you become mediocre because you're so demoralized. I'm always going to try to do the best job I can. And then I'm going to work the relationship, because if I've been passed over, I'm not going to decide I hate my boss. I'm going to say, hey, what do I need to do to make sure I qualify next time? I need you to help me. I really want you to help me, because you can tell me. You don't have to worry about me being upset with you. Just tell me what I need to do. Because at some point, you're going to realize either they like you or they don't, especially if you are proficient. And that's one of the things you got to be. But you got to be, professionally packaged, I say. Sometimes a woman will come to the job. They have all the qualifications, but they're sabotaging their power by not dressing appropriately, being known as sexy rather than savvy, stuff like that. So that's my mindset. And that's why I wanted to write this book to people, to women especially, to say, listen, there are some significant P's you're going to have in place. So you got to be professionally packaged, and you got to be proficient, but you got to be personable, because you got to be likable. You can't discount that likability factor. Yeah. So those things are important. Yeah.
I always say, I think one of the biggest things that's missing for a lot of people right now is professionalism. It's just, we're forgetting all of these, I call them old school values, but they're not that old, but I have to refer to them as that simply because I think what's going on in the new school is, you could dress like a slob. You don't have to do your hair. It's like everyone's business casual, and business casual is becoming just like, what they wear on the weekend too.
Yeah. And you become casual about your work. And I'm all for it. I'm all for business casual, but there's a realm within which you just start being sloppy. And I can tell you this, as a woman, you really can't afford to make those kind of missteps. You really can't, because people are always judging us. We have more criteria by which we're judged. And so we're just going to have to kind of be on it. And, we don't try to make ourselves line up with what the men say we should be, but it's about being gender savvy. Say, okay, if I'm going to look this way, this is what it's going to cost me. This is the impression I'm going to make. But most women just don't have that confidence. And so that's why I say, listen, number 2 to being proficient is projecting confidence. Because let me tell you, Coach Dana, they have shown that in all the criteria for great leadership, women excel in all of them except confidence.
Okay. But with confidence, I say there's 2 types of confidence. There's real confidence, and then there's like fake confidence, where I think some women, I coach women, some of them, they feel like they have to be these alphas that are just nasty and mean and don't embody, I believe, what you're talking about.
Yeah. See, and that's why I say lead like a woman. And the implication is not like a man. So bring all of your womanhood to the table. Yes, we are naturally born, for the most part, to be collaborative. We like to get other people involved. We are nurturing. So we like to invest in the development of other people. These are great traits. These aren't women's traits. These are traits that we have inherently. And when we bring them to the table and maximize them, this is going to add to the bottom line. Every study they've shown that when a woman is in charge, or even on a board or something, or women are present, their influence is present, the companies have a higher bottom line. Now that's awesome. That's awesome. So I don't hide that. I don't want to come to the table being macho, because it really doesn't accomplish what you think it is. It's just going to alienate the men and the women. Yeah. So I say, listen, be who you are, be authentic, manage those traits so that you don't take them overboard. Yeah. Don't be so nurturing that you become mothering, but for goodness sake, know that this is an asset, and it's only if you don't manage it that it becomes a liability. So I say, bring all your womanhood to the table. Yep.
Yeah. And if you do that, listen, you're being yourself. So you don't have to fake it.
I'm myself.
Yeah. And then, you know what, listen, when you come to the table as yourself, there's people that are still going to love you, still going to like you. And then there's going to be people that just don't like you. And that's no matter what.
And you got to be comfortable with that. Because guys are more comfortable with that. And a lot of times that's why women don't speak up, or sometimes we are tentative in putting our idea on the table. We don't want anybody to reject us or swat us. Hey, you just got to get used to that. Once you get into the realm of where you can take criticism and keep moving, that's just somebody's opinion. Listen for the truth in it. But otherwise, just keep moving. See, it's a mindset. Yeah. It's a mindset. And you know that as a coach.
Yeah, it's almost like every young lady should maybe be a Girl Scout, because not everybody's going to buy you cookies. And if you learn early in life some people are going to say no to your cookies, but then there's going to be people that say yes and make a big order. You just keep going.
Oh, absolutely. Somebody read one of my books and he said, oh, I didn't agree with what she said. I wanted to use it as toilet paper. He said, I want to take the pages. I thought, well, how do you sell 1 million books or one copy of a book? One book, you sell 1 million copies, and one negative review is going to make you go, oh, that's terrible. I'm like, next.
Yeah. You know, it's funny that you said that. I wrote that in my book, Habits of a Champion. My mom always says that. Listen, if somebody, you know, if it's not working, you just say next. If someone tells you no and it's not going to be good for me, next.
That's my favorite word.
Yeah.
My favorite word.
It's true, because then you're separating from that person and you're separating from that emotion, and you're just moving yourself towards where it is that you want to go. And I think that's probably a big theme of what I'm gathering is, you know, you support and you stand for. Is like, just keep moving forward towards your goals and towards your vision and mission.
Yeah, if you get stuck in anger, disappointment, all of those things, listen, you're going to be just that. You're going to be stuck. You won't have a quality life. Yeah. I don't bemoan things that I can't change. That's why I spend very little time looking at the past, only as a point of reference where I can learn something. But for the most part, I'm like, how can I get to the next level? And I don't mean about climbing the corporate ladder. I mean, most of the time, my next level is something personal. How can I be more loving, more forgiving, since that's not one of my strong suits? Yeah. I wrote a book on it, but usually for somebody, let's just say, offends me, I tend to I go to that next thing. So that's not always good. It's like, next, you're done. But sometimes you need to go back and build a relationship. So see, that's what I'm working on. And so we just got to always be, you know, forward oriented. That's it.
Yeah. That's the key. Forward. How do you deal with, like, you know, there's women out there that they feel like they're always shortchanging somebody, right? They're shortchanging either their work because they have to get home, or they're not home enough because they're at work. How do you help women with that?
I say, look at your priorities. Determine what's really important to you. For me, it's family. And so work is not my number one thing, even though I'm very passionate about my work. And I can work all night. I worked at 4 this morning. I can work all night. But my husband and I have date night for Fridays. On Fridays, I have boundaries. Yeah. I express my boundaries. Every job I've ever been on, they know not to call me at home to do work. That's not what I do. You know, and I make it clear, I'm going to be excellent while I'm here. I'm not available on the weekends. If there's a deadline and this is an anomaly, fine, but that's not going to be my norm. I think women are reluctant to express their boundaries. They're reluctant to ask for help at home. And so when you step back and say, where am I wearing myself out, and how much of this is within my realm of control, then you're going to find you're going to have a more quality life. You're going to set the boundaries. This is what I do. This is how much I work. Even if I work at home, this is how long I work in the office. If there's a period of time where I got to, you know, that's not my norm, then I got to make sure I get back to that, because that's how you have a quality life. And listen, you got to get rid of the guilt. We've been socialized to think that we should do so much. We got to move from shouldville. Shouldville is where you do everything you should. My husband told me the other day, when I see in my head, I think I should be the one who makes sure we always have food in the house. He's like, you don't have to do that. But I'm thinking, but I grew up that way. The woman's supposed to make sure there's food. And I have a book deadline. I have a book I'm launching, and I'm down there trying to make chili. Yeah. He said, don't do that. You know, so I have to check my own shoulds. How much are they controlling my stress level? Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. And that goes for men too. It's, I should lose 5 pounds. I should do this. I should, but I don't. And it's like, it's very simple. If you turn your shoulds into I'm going to's, what I'm doing this is, you'll probably have a more productive life.
And you give yourself permission to do that. You know, you get rid of the guilt. I say guilt is an emotion you feel when you've done something wrong. Ask yourself, now, what did I do wrong? There's nothing wrong with saying, no, I'm not available to go and help you out at church, or help you out with the bake sale, or help you out, whatever. I know I probably should, since my kids are involved. I just can't make it work. Not with the priorities I have right now. And give yourself permission to do that and go on next.
Yeah. I love that. Deborah, what do you do to keep yourself, I know it's an overused word, but I'll say, you know, balanced between your work and between your home life? And like, how do you keep yourself, you know, centered and not getting too crazy, you know, and too,
yeah. I hear you.
I mean, we all have those crazy moments. So I know we all have them. So
trust me, last week was crazy. I was having a big VIP launch party for the book, and I'm thinking like, oh, I can't do this another day. But after that, when it's all settled down, I start with the big rocks. The big rocks of my marriage, 41 years. How do you stay happy 41 years, all right?
Yeah, that's
so
awesome.
41-year marriage, because it's my priority. So it's like, no matter what's going on, somebody texted me that night after I decided I'm all settled down. It was like about midnight, because they know I'm up. And I said, I'm watching the replays of the convention, whatever I'm watching. I can't do that. So I start with the big rocks. What is most important? Then make sure that is. You can't say something is important, then give no time to it. So I do that. What's important? My health is important. So I got to stop and make those complicated veggie drinks that mess up the
kitchen and blender.
Yeah. I'm like, oh Lord, but it's important. I gotta maintain my energy.
Yep.
You see, so you start with the big rocks. Get those in the jar first.
So let's say your big rocks are your relationship, your health.
Right. My health, my spiritual life. I need time to just meditate, be quiet, really get some divine guidance. That's really critical to me. In fact, it's on top of those first two things, because it will dictate how I do everything else. So those are my big rocks. And then personal development is big for me. I can't be stagnant. I need to always be growing in my profession. I mean, I take classes, free classes, all of that, how to speak better, how to be more effective on Zoom, how to do whatever.
Yeah. And you're advancing yourself, which makes you feel good about yourself, and that you're not becoming expired,
Right. And you share it with others, and you see yourself having impact in other people's lives, then that makes it all worth it. So I feel very fulfilled. I really do. I feel fulfilled. I'm not going like, oh, life is passing me by. I'm like, I'm so excited. I just taught some ladies this morning how to do stuff, and they said, we always look forward to you doing that. And one of them said, listen, whenever she comes on the line, I get my paper and pencil. It was just a prayer meeting. It was just a prayer meeting. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. It sounds like you're having fun too, which is important.
Yeah, I got to have fun. Now, I don't do stuff I don't want to do.
Yeah.
No, that's why you can't say yes when you want to say no, because you're going to not like yourself. You're going to be resentful of the people. So I don't do that. No, that's not good.
I think that goes back to some of the guilt that people have. They always feel like they have to say yes, even in their heart, when they know it should be no. And then they end up, again, they're buried in things that they hate. And then your life can take a negative spin because you're doing everything that doesn't light your fire.
Well, you're doing what other people think you should do. And there again, we're stuck in shouldville. So I always say, listen, learn how to say no. See, I'll make an appointment on my own calendar with me. When somebody asks me to do something, I'll just say, listen, I have another commitment. Well, I didn't say I had a meeting. I have a commitment, and my commitment is not to spread myself all over the place. I mean, that phrase helps me out of a lot. I'm so sorry. I have another commitment. The end.
Yeah. Where do you spend most of your day doing now?
Reading. Right now, since I'm in the middle of promoting the book, I spend a lot of time looking for ways I can just kind of like get some short statements out there that'll be empowering, getting to the bottom line. I spend a lot of time on Zoom casts and those kind of things. Yeah. Okay.
Which I love. I love how you said before, you're having those green drinks and you're exercising for energy, because this is, people don't understand, like a Zoom meeting of any kind. It drains you. Putting yourself out there drains you. Leading anything, a household, a business, a company, you have to train for energy. Yeah, you do. You got to listen, if you don't have energy, I don't know, energy just makes me think better, and so when I can, even sometimes, and it's, my neighborhood is pretty safe, but I'll wait too late to go out for a late evening walk and it's almost dark, but I say, listen, I don't care if I just walk up and down the street on my block and it's, it's uphill or downhill, uphill. If I don't feel safe going outside where my husband can see me, I don't care if people think I'm crazy. I just go up and down the street. That's okay. But again, it's again, you owning what it is that you're doing.
Yeah. And this better than anybody. Come on, your health is your wealth. It really is. Yeah, it is your wealth. And I am not doing that great in that right now. I haven't gotten enough sleep. I'm telling you, I've just got to be honest. But I gotta sleep more. And I'll just take a nap. Yesterday I took a 3-hour nap. I said, man, that's more than a nap. That's a major sleep.
Yeah. But hey, you know what? You're also listening to your body and what you need. Listen, there's these perfect formulas that everybody talks about. It's like, this is how you should live your life. Sleep this much, eat now, do this, drink this, have that, work out. But life sometimes, again, you're promoting a book, you're doing different things. It requires different, things at different times.
Yeah. And that's it. You can't get stuck, because then you feel bad when you missed your exercise. So I may have gone like 2 days without going out in the air. And I have a home gym, so I got enough stuff in there to, you can buy a membership, but sometimes you just, you just need to get out there in the air, And so and I need to do more of that, so I really want to work on that. And you know what I find, Coach Dana, is that if you don't, sometimes you need a partner or somebody to go do that with, but if you don't have it, that can't be your excuse. And that has been my excuse sometimes. I don't have anybody to walk with, because I work at home and everybody else is at their office. So now everybody's home, but now we can't get together and breathe on each other.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
So it's always an excuse why you shouldn't do something, but you got to recognize when you're just making excuses, be truthful.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I tell people this. I said, listen, there's most days you're not going to want to do these things that are required of you, but you have to do them anyway.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, don't even listen to yourself. Just do it and you'll feel better that you did it. Because if you don't do it, again, I say you weaken yourself when you don't do it.
Well, I like what you said about that. You got to sprint that fourth quarter. If you haven't been doing what you need to do, and I'm like, okay, let's look at this.
Yep.
And I thought last night when you said that, I'm like, okay, I have some more things coming up that are televised. It's like, okay, you got to get a little bit better shape, just a little bit better shape to be on camera.
You're building your best self. We're always building that. That's why I call this show the Becoming a Champion show, because we're always working to become our champion self,
Yeah, and it's not like you're dissatisfied, but and because I love that idea of looking for something higher, because it just kind of makes life interesting. So it's not like you're trying to climb a ladder, you're never satisfied with your life. I'm contented with my life, but I also want to be in that growth mode because it just makes life more interesting when you're just challenging yourself to go to another level. It just feels right.
Yeah.
It feels right.
So this book, Lead Like a Woman.
Yeah.
What is your vision for it? What do you want this book to do for someone that reads it?
I want women to embrace their inherent traits that God has given them. Lead like a woman. I want them to lead like a woman. Okay. So here's the deal. In the book, I talk about 12 inherent traits that you need to bring to the table and manage them. So not only, the other things I mentioned, being collaborative and what's that word I use? Nurturing, all of that. But also I want them to refrain from 12 tendencies that sabotage our progress. And so, whether that means not knowing what it means to have executive presence or not supporting other women, things that you do that really kind of like sabotage where you're trying to go. And so that's what I want women to do. Embrace what God has given you. Go on, lead like a woman. Don't try to lead like a man, but also recognize that you play a role in some of the reasons that you haven't gotten as far as you need to get and where you're trying to go.
And what if you don't know, you're a lady that picks up this book and reads it, and you're thinking to yourself like, hey, what are my gifts? What am I good at? How could somebody start figuring that out if they're a bit confused right now, Well,
here's what I do though, but I challenge them to look at the ones I lay out, say, okay, how are you faring in these areas? Are you using your intuition? Are you being flexible? Are you using your vulnerability as a strength so that people know, okay, I have a weakness, but this is how I overcome it. I'm not allowing it to hinder me. So I kind of lay it out for you. It's kind of a no-brainer. You say, okay, am I doing these? And then when I look at the tendencies that you need to stop, you've got to ask yourself, do I do that? Do I minimize my accomplishments? Do I play down what I've done because I don't want other people to get upset with me or women to reject me? So there are all kinds of things like that. Am I not portraying confidence? Oh, I didn't know that saying that like that was not being confident. So I kind of like shine the light and say, listen, if you don't go any further than just reading this, where are you in this space? These are things you can do today, basic things, so that you can fast track your destiny. Because I tell you, the studies show that there will be over 200 years before women achieve gender equality. Yeah. That's too long. I don't have 200 years. So,
but you know what? It sounds like for you, you're also just running hard towards where it is that you want to go and what it is that you want to do. So it's like, you're saying, hey, that's a stat. That's great. But I'm not subscribing. I'm going to continue along my journey.
That's right. And I'm going to enjoy the journey. See, that's the thing. I'm not like working so hard and then I'm going to get there. I'm going to enjoy getting there. It's like going on a road trip. We're going to have some stops and, buy fruit on the side. We're going to have a great road trip. I don't know how much longer I have to live. I'm 70 years old, but I know I don't look like it.
No, I was going to say, man, send me some of that moisturizer.
But listen, I'm planning to just go until I just keel over. My husband calls me the ever ready bunny. He said I have two speeds, fast and off.
Yeah. I appreciate people like that though, because they're just, when they're up, they're all in. And then it's just, that's it. They just stop. I need a bed now. Done. Conked out. But hey, that's cool. That's cool though. I think more people need books like this because they have such a hard time sorting, what's going on in their head. And they also feel very isolated that they're the only person dealing with this. Like, and then they start to say, there's something wrong with me, or maybe I'm not qualified enough, or I'm not good enough. And it becomes like, this whole attack on themselves.
Absolutely. That's why I'm teaching women to step outside of your comfort zone. Just deliberately do something that you don't feel comfortable doing. If you really don't like talking, go on Facebook for about 3 minutes and do a Facebook Live.
Yeah.
Keep practicing doing those things and give yourself permission, because we've been socialized to believe that leadership is a man's domain. All of those things are in our head about what we should be and shouldn't be. It's not proper to acknowledge, to be confident, because that means you're haughty, or that you don't need a man. Listen, this is not an anti-man book.
Yeah.
I believe that men and women have to work together hand in hand, just like they were challenged to do in the garden, where God says, go and fill the earth. Can you imagine them trying to pursue that goal independently?
Yeah, exactly. It'd be a little tough. But I do want to go back half a step, because I think something you said earlier about, being a professional and being proficient. And I see this with women, that there's women out there that don't aspire. They don't want to be the CEO of the company.
Right.
But whatever position you do and you're employed at, be the CEO of that position and be great at it, professional, proficient, just excellent at what you do.
Well, and you know what? Because leadership is influence. And so I'm so glad you brought that angle out, because this book is not just for people who are on the corporate track. Leadership is influence. That's what my old mentor, John Maxwell, says. Leadership is influence. So whether you're organizing a bake sale or a block party, or whether or not you're setting the goals for your next year's team at your corporation, we are all in the business of influencing people to behave in a certain way so that we can achieve a goal. So we're all leaders. Women are born to lead. Women are born to lead. We're always, even if you never leave your house, you are a leader, because you're trying to influence people's behavior. And that's important. Yeah.
I wanted to bring that up because it's something that there's a lot, I always come across, different things that are promoting women, but I think a lot of women leave that conversation, or that thinking that I have to run the company. I need to get all the way to the top. And it's like just you need to be great whatever the level is that you want to go to, you can. But you need to be great at that, whatever the level.
Yeah, you do it, because sometimes that goal, once you get there, may not be as exciting as you thought it was going to be. And so you want to have a balanced life on the way. Because you don't want to get to the top, then you have nobody to share all that glory with. All you have is just, you working hard, and that's all you have. Your health is gone, but you got that spot. Okay, now, as Dr. Phil says, is that working for you? You really need to think about it. Think about where you want to go with that. And don't let other people push you there. I left a job where I was CFO at a position that had never had a woman to fill that. And a lot of women were disappointed when I left that high profile job. And I thought, yeah, but I want to go out and write and speak full time. I know that was an achievement to have a woman in that high visibility position, but that wasn't my goal. I was just trying to get a job done there. So my job is done. But so, and don't put that burden on other women. There are a lot of women who decide that corporate structure is not for them anymore, that their family is more important. And that's okay. Yeah. That's okay.
Hey, yeah. I've seen a lot of women start businesses, whether it's a clothing company or some sort of product business, whether it's soap or candles, and they run a great, sole proprietorship type business because they're detailed, they're organized, they're methodical. Yes. And that's why I believe too that in the business world, that women complement men very well when they're open to working together, because man, like a lot of men typically are not the most organized. They could be great visionaries, but not organized, and the woman helps keep it organized. So it's almost like there could be co-CEOs.
Oh, I love that you said that. You know what? Because it's about working together. So we don't need to see men as competitors. We complete each other. We really do. You know, and so we got to see that, like, hey, I want to collaborate with you on that. And men need to recognize what women bring to the table and not minimize it, because they have these unconscious biases in their own head about a woman's role. And so I'm challenging men, hey, come on, be more allies to women. Put yourself in that role. Advocate for women, because a lot of times women just be quiet because they don't think the men take them seriously. Well, I want men to start listening to women when they do that. And don't interrupt them. Don't cut them off in a meeting, because they may not be the type that's so quick to say, hey, hold on, I want to finish my point. You know, and I've seen men take a woman's point in a meeting and run with it. I see a woman put forth an idea and everybody's like, ho hum. The guy comes behind her, says the same thing. They're like, oh, that's a great idea. Well, maybe she didn't say it powerfully enough. And I teach in my book, I teach women how to take their point back and still be like a lady.
Yeah, that's cool.
I do. Yeah, I do.
Cool. You got it. I think also going back, confidence is such a, it's the key to life, but getting that real confidence. And if you truly believe in what it is that you're saying and you're confident, you're going to project those words.
Yes. And that's why I always say, start with being good at your work, because confidence is rooted in knowledge. When you know what you're talking about, then it becomes a matter of how you say it, you know, how you present it, and who you are. If you're nice and you're strong, you can be all of them. You really can. You know, that's what I tell everybody. You can be strong and you can be nice. It's okay. Yeah. You can even smile sometimes too.
Yep. Yeah. I tell men the same thing. You know, you don't always have to be an extreme alpha to be a leader. Actually, you're better off not being that, and you'll be a better leader because you'll be open. You'll be a collaborative leader, which is,
yes,
you means you're open to hearing what everyone has to say. Ultimately, you may have to make the final decision, but you are open enough to take in everybody's words and feedback and thoughts. And now you're best suited and, you know, prepared to make a great decision.
You are talking my language. That's my first chapter in the book. Collaborating. Sure, ultimately, you may even have to make a hard decision. But listen, that's okay too. But it validates other people. It validates their work for you to listen to them and consider what they're saying. And you know what they find, Coach, is that most people, the people are more engaged when they have an environment where they're listened to and valued like that, and people are interested in their personal development.
Yeah.
You're going to have people much more engaged with your company. It's going to be much more profitable.
I think now too, I hear a lot of, you know, I'll say older leaders, they talk very down on millennials. And the millennial group is one of the groups that's very unique in that they love to collaborate. And if you don't collaborate, educate, engage, and develop them, they feel no love.
Bye.
Yeah. So it's, again, I think that's the biggest leadership challenge now, is you have these old school leaders that believe in a dictator-based leadership style, and it's not working with this group. So they hate this group.
No, it won't work. And you just got to realize that. I have some millennials working on my website right now. And it's like, you know, I have to stop and say, okay, just remember, you're coming from a different mindset. This is like, you got to be generationally savvy.
Yep. Yeah, it's true. It's a different group. But again, there's this woman I always mention, you know, she's down in Florida. She's 90 years old. And I said, how do you deal with people? And she says, I find one great thing that person offers, and that's what I focus on. And it's like, you know, these millennials, what could we learn from them? What can, I may be an older leader, but what could they teach me? You know, same thing.
Yeah.
With the women. Hey, you know, this woman, you know, maybe I'm not accustomed to working with women, but what can I learn from this person? And
watch her, because women are bringing a lot to the table. And let me tell you, this is the age of the woman. So we're not going away. We're not going away, but we have things to learn, and men have things to learn. But what a wonderful opportunity then to do just that. You say, hey, I'm coming to the table with an expectation and intent to learn. I'm not coming here to say women should do this. You be quiet. You don't deserve this. Hey, I'm coming to learn and see what you bring to the table, because everybody brings something to the table.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, I just, again, go back. I love the words, you know, professionalism and proficiency. That's where, like, you know, I think if more people on both sides focused on that, you'd have some much more effective leadership teams and much more effective companies and teams in general.
Absolutely. You got it.
So that's cool. Well, I have a question for you, because I always wrap this up with a simple question that says, you know, it's Becoming a Champion show. What does the word champion mean to you?
It means excelling. It doesn't necessarily mean I'm up and everybody else is down. It doesn't necessarily mean winning over everybody else and I'm the exalted one with the medal, but it does mean being the best I can be. So I'm competing against myself in most instances. So that, to me, a champion is one who excels, not trying to go for perfection because you fear how people are going to think about you, but you're so passionate about the goal until you give it your all. That's what it means to me. I'm so passionate about this until I give it my all.
I love that. That's awesome. Yeah. I always ask that question. I don't ever tell anybody in advance that I'm going to ask it because I think but the answers that I get are really amazing.
Okay. Well, because I see. And I see people that are perfectionists, and as it relates to women, so we spend all this time trying to get it just right. Well, that comes from a fear of not wanting to be criticized. But it's like, no, down with that. Listen, you just want to be excellent because you're passionate about the goal, and that's what it means to me. Yeah,
I love that. I love that. So, Lead Like a Woman, it's out.
Yep.
Amazon.
It's on Amazon wherever books are sold.
There it is. There she is. That's awesome. Well, Deborah, I really enjoyed talking to you today. I enjoy your perspective and your openness and just your presentation. Your energy is great, and I think that's a great example for anybody watching. Energy.
Yeah. And I appreciate being here. I was so intimidated when I read about you. I'm like, oh God.
No, don't be intimidated. I keep it as real as can be.
Thank you so much.
Cool.
You've been great to talk to.
Deborah, awesome. Best of luck. You don't need it by any means, but I felt like I should say that because it was the right thing. But go kill it. Go kick some butt.
Thank you. Thank you for your inspiration. Trust me, You really inspired me reading about you.
Thank
God
you.
bless you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. You too. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.